Good morning. It's just gone 10. I think it's like 10:04 in the morning on the 29th of January 2025. Um, soon I'm going to be 30 years old, which is kind of crazy. I was born in 1995, and it's been 25 years since the millennium, and which means I'm almost going to be 30 this year, which is kind of, terrifying. Um, I've kind of, I've done kind of social media stuff before, and to anyone and everyone who followed me, I I want to kind of apologize because I didn't do it out of love. I did it out of desperation. I wanted to get money in the door, and I tried to gain a following to eventually get something out of you, and which I wrote a book, and some people bought it, not very many, but it didn't actually do too much. So I want to start anew with this kind of with a new channel, being completely open, being very honest, and being very direct. Because I think, well, I know what creates connection for me is when someone is loving and kind and not nice, but kind. And kindness can push people away, but niceness draws the wrong people. So, and maybe in a future video we can talk about that. But I think for right now, I am going to just be honest and think about what I've done and speak to you as someone, as someone, speak to you as if I'm speaking to myself, but in the past. Speaking to you as if I was the person I needed back when I was whatever age I was. So, yeah, that's my kind of idea. And I've been sitting here thinking about what I can talk about, and I kind of decided on the topic of fear, and I spent about 10 minutes thinking, like, do I have an example of myself thinking? Thinking. Do I have an example of myself overcoming fear? And only recently, yes, but that'll be a story for a future. It's not for right now. So, but I'm happy being the bad example. I think you have to accept what the reality is. If you're a good example, great. If you're a bad example, great. But be whatever you are, because then people in front of you or people further behind than you can see you and jump further ahead. And that's what I want to do. Maybe someone watching this hears what I say and then they move on. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about what happened to me a few years ago. I almost got married. I'm not married, and and I'm very glad that I didn't. And she was this beautiful Mexican woman, so, a bit older than me, very very nice. And she was a little crazy, to be fair, but she was very strong, and she came from a very strange family. Um, her her mother and her brother and herself had a very strong bond, but the father was kind of an accepted outsider, even himself, and I think he had a few women he was going between. I don't know. I can't. I don't know if it was a few or just one or none or just whatever. I don't know what he was doing with his spare time, but he spent a lot of time away, and so the three of them stuck together. And because of their trauma with that, whatever that was, they committed their sins, and that's okay. They were I don't hate them for it. They were not particularly great. But I don't want to talk about them. They're not the problem here. I was more of a problem for me. I was scared. I worked out recently. Didn't love them, even though I felt I did. In retrospect, looking back, I actually didn't love her or them. I feared being alone. There were a few things that had happened in a recent year that made me feel very, very, very alone. And I feared that. It was something that I genuinely feared. So but fearing that gave me this kind of it gave me a sense of nothingness. Like it was kind of silly and stupid, that the way I was acting. This girl, she would create these strange rules based on her emotions, and because I wasn't a strong man, I was a man, but I wasn't a strong man. I was a very childish person at that time. Should we there? Let's have a drink of this. This is a really stupid thing, but it just goes to show, and I've told a few people about this, and it's so stupid, but I gave into it. Now, because she was religious and I was religious, we had very strong views on homosexuality, cross-dressing, and whatever, right? So that's whatever. In a movie I was watching, I think it's Shrek 2, I think it is Shrek 2. The Pinocchio falls down and he's trying to save the guys, and they say to him, say something crazy like you're wearing ladies underwear so that your nose grows, and he says it, and his nose doesn't grow, so obviously he's wearing it, and that's the joke. Obviously, that's the joke. She watches this with me, or she sees it. I think I was watching on my own, and she sees that scene, and she's disgusted, absolutely disgusted, because of her religious beliefs that she and she tells me that I can't do that. And as a man, I don't know about other men, but I'm pretty sure a lot of men would agree with me that you kind of, in your head, put things in a category and go like, okay, I can understand this. I don't really get it, but I can, okay, if that's the precedent, okay, I can go with that law, right, if that makes sense. And I kind of was like, okay, I don't really get it, but she wants this, I'll give that to her. I'm fine with this, it was a bit unreasonable, but, if the unreasonability is consistent, then okay, that's fine, I don't mind. A few short weeks later, she's watching one of the Minions movies, and there's also a scene in there where there's a character, a male Minion character, riding riding very high between his ass cheeks, his thong, bikini, whatever it is, swimwear, Speedo, whatever it is, doesn't really matter what. And she was laughing and giggling, and I didn't quite understand you could say this to me, but you can't say this to, you can say this to me, but to you, this doesn't apply. Why doesn't this apply? And she gave no real good answer, but because I feared being alone, and I didn't truly love her, I was being very selfish, I gave in. I accepted stupidity. I had no ability within me to walk away, which is very sad. Now I see things a lot differently, and I'm very grateful that she eventually, ended that relationship, and I'm very glad we didn't get married. She actually ended it a few days before we got married, saved by the bell. But I'm very, very glad that I made her unhappy, and she realized, and she got away, which is what she should have done. Very sad at the time, but I'm very glad now. Fear gets you to do very stupid things, very, very stupid things. But the truth about fear, it's, I was talking to my my younger brother the other day about this, and which is why I wanted to talk about fear with you today. The lesson about fear is in most, Jordan Peterson talks about the dragon, facing the dragon, and in a lot of stories, like, okay, so we have, The Hobbit, for instance, where there's Smaug, and he hoards gold, right? And you've got the dragon in the Shrek movies, who hoards gold and protects this girl from captors. And obviously these are mythical things, right? But for a long time, those stories were like, thought to be true. Not those particular stories, but other stories like them. Maybe in medieval wherever, people have gone to seek this thing, but none of them have come back. Obviously, they've died. So clearly, something big and monstrous killed them because they were an army sent, and I don't know how that happened. So you have to start imagining what, and people start to imagine this big mythical beast. And so that's I don't know if that's true or not, but that seems logical in my mind to maybe some archaeologists, paleontologists, whatever can, I don't know what the right word is. They can tell me in the comments whether I'm right or wrong. It doesn't really matter. But the thing about fear that I've come to understand is the dragon hoards what people desire most. That's what it hoards, right? It hoards what people desire most. So the hero in these stories, it's the woman in the tower, right? A beautiful princess in the tower, and riches. She's hoarding gold, right? This is like, it hoards what the hero desires most, and the hero is you, the person, the individual. And most heroes, most people are heroes. They just don't really realize it. As far as they don't realize how powerful they are, and they allow the imagination to run wild and go like, there must be something huge out there, and it must be awful, and it must be so hard. And there is luck, and there is I don't know, I don't really like the word luck, but there is a bit of luck involved, and there is a bit of it's opportunity that other people have that other people don't. Now, everything that you desire exists, and everything that you fear doesn't. The dragon doesn't exist, but the riches, everything you desire does. So, I'm here today. I've been putting off making a video like this, starting this channel, talking like this, for whatever reason. And I think that it's a good thing to know that you are, whoever you are, man, woman, child, old man, there is nothing that you can't do. There's nothing. I was, I've been in pits, and I'm still in a little bit of a pit now, but I know I can get out. And I decided a number of months ago I wasn't going to allow fear to control my life anymore. And I started being more honest, and I started letting people see the real me. And I realized for most of my life I wasn't letting people see who I was. It was like the straw man argument. I was being a straw man to everyone, and even to myself. And which is why I fell into I have it's a self-diagnosed depression. And I would say, you can't diagnose it yourself, but when you're screaming obscenities at yourself in the mirror, I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with you. So it's okay. It's okay. You are stronger than you know you are. There are less obstacles than you think there are. and there is more reward in doing the thing that you're scared of. So, yeah, don't let fear control you. Fear is immaterial. Fear only exists inside your mind, and only if you allow it to control you, it controls you. Do not give it the power to do so. So, I think I'll leave it there. I'm gonna let this, I'm gonna finish my coffee and smoke my pipe a little bit more, and then I'm gonna carry on with my day. I have 2 classes to teach. The first person, he wanted to reschedule his class, so I didn't do it. And I also started working the other day at a Tim Hortons, which is just down the road from where I live. And it's so I'm back to work there tomorrow from early 5 o'clock in the morning until 11. So that's 6 hours. I worked 5 hours Monday, 5 hours Tuesday. But yeah, so very cool. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon. And I think I'm gonna, just before you go, actually, I wanted to name this something. I don't want to think of it as just a video. I want to make this like a kind of thing that I do continually. So I want to see it as like a podcast. I'd like to do it once a week. Sit down with you and talk about things that are on my mind that I think are valuable, that I think someone could gain value from. And I thought of the name, something like Notes from Nowhere or Notes from Nobody, because I'm, on the social monetary hierarchy. That's what it is. And we have other role models in this world, like these rich and powerful individuals who have tons of money coming in, and they're just doing all these cool things, and everyone seems to like them. But although they are men and they seem to be very strong, they all have weaknesses, and they just don't want you. They don't want to allow you to see their weaknesses. I think it's important for people to see people's weaknesses and see a strong man accept his weaknesses and work with reality and move forward. So maybe I become a billionaire one day. Who knows? Whatever. Or maybe I get a huge inheritance. Maybe something happens. But I think it's important for people to see someone from the bottom work up. I've been at rock bottom, and I want to work up. So I thought Notes from Nobody, not because I am nobody, but because other people may think I am, but I know I'm not. And I want to be the example that it's okay for other people to think of what you are. But you're going to do what you do anyway, because you want to do it. And that's important, to live your life the way you want to. And live in peace, and to not fear. Anyway, I said at the end of the video. Let's end it there, and I will. I'll see you next time. Hopefully next week I want to think of something to talk about so I can help people. And yeah, let's see. Okay, have a great day.